So Hulk Hogan died, and I think I'm going to make a video about him on the other channel. I've been planning to for a long time, but I figured I'd come on here and give you kind of an unedited, raw talk about celebrities dying. I went and I made a list of a lot of the ones I could think of, and there's probably a ton of other people that I'm not remembering. Fred Rogers was a big one for me. I remember being so sad. I could tell you, and since it's not that far from my mom's house, I drive by this spot all the time, but I can tell you the spot that I was on when they started the here's the latest update from ABC News, and they played the Mr. Rogers theme, and then the voice came on and he said, Fred Rogers, the host, and as he said that, I said, oh my God, no, because just it sounded like it was an obituary, and it was. And that one really hurt me. I loved that man, and he just he was so young because he had just retired. And Jim Henson was another one that I remember, being shocked about going to. Richard Simmons was another one. I heard about that last year. I did a video about him. Ozzy Osbourne, I think I'm more moved at his death than I would have been if I hadn't done that video, because I wasn't that familiar with him. I mean, he was an artist that, was the type of music I don't listen to. And so I had always heard the Bat story, and that was about all I could tell you about him. Did know him he was in WrestleMania 2, which Hulk Hogan, that's the thing. It's like, the pro wrestling, I love wrestling so much. So his death, really hurt me. I was like 10 years old when I first saw him and first knew who he was. And then unlike a lot of other things, people that maybe are on a sitcom and then it goes away, he was always doing something that I was paying some attention to. So really shocked about that, because also it was feels like just yesterday he was well, and you had no question about it. George Burns, and he was a very old man. Obviously he was going to go. I remember when the Where's the Beef lady died. And I also remember Nedra Volz, who was the housekeeper on Different Strokes. I seem to remember very clearly being so sad finding out that she died. And Captain Kangaroo. Remember when I heard that Captain Kangaroo had died? And shocking. And the picture on the paper, they showed him with the haircut. And I was just a little older, I think, than that, that group that was watching that show. I remember when Mr. Hooper died. The presidents that I remember clearly was Ronald Reagan when he died, and then Jimmy Carter just recently when he died. Both of them kind of really shocked me, even though they were both very, very, very old. But it shocked me, I think, because I grew up with those two men being the president of the United States. And before Jimmy Carter, I don't remember. And after Ronald Reagan, I think I was old enough that I was not, I guess I'd say like the presidency was demystified, where it wasn't. Whereas at that age, on those, that time period, it was like, wow, that's the president. It's a thing that is bigger than the rest of us, And I think as an adult, it's more like, oh, okay, that's, there's the president. Talked about Hulk Hogan, and the other ones I have from wrestling, Owen Hart, which I was watching that live, which was horrific. And I had seen some of his best matches in person. I got to see WrestleMania 10, so I got to see when he wrestled and beat Bret Hart. I wrote this one down. I had to Google the name, but it was Tara Correa. And this was in October of 2005. There was a movie called Rebound, and I had seen it. It was a Martin Lawrence movie, and I don't remember loving it or anything, but I remember thinking it was funny. She was murdered, and I want to say it was like in Inglewood, California, but the movie had just come out, so I had seen the movie, and if I remember correctly, she was like the big girl on the team, so she was tall and stocky, and she'd knock the boys over or whatever. The plot of the movie, if you haven't seen it, which I would assume would be most of you, to my memory, the plot of the movie was that Martin Lawrence was a famous basketball player who then had become a coach, and he was very arrogant. And then at one game, he got very mad and he kicked a basketball. and he hit the mascot of the opposing team. It was a hawk. It was like a real, and he has to go to jail. But then the judge says, you don't have to go to jail if you coach a little league team, I think. This is how I remember it. Carol Spinney, the voice of Big Red. I remember not being as saddened. I mean, I don't know what the right word for the emotion is, but I remember I loved him. Meeting him meant so much. I met him like 3 or 4 times. I got to host him on stage, and I interviewed him, and they wanted me to host him on stage because I wrote the Sesame Place book. But also they thought I could guide him through it. There were a few times where like he would kind of get lost when he was talking, and I'd just steer him back in because I knew the answer. So I wasn't just asking questions I didn't know the answer to. I was asking him questions, and I already, as a weird Sesame Street nerd, already knew all the answers. So I was able to help him out on stage. I've hosted a few people on podcasts that I was very fond of that passed away. Marty Allen, and I hosted him. We had a long chat, and we actually had a long chat before I hosted him. And so I remember he called me on the phone, and I was like, Marty Allen, this is you? And then he's like, calm down, it's not Brad Pitt. And I was like, man, this guy still got it. Anyway, there you go. There's a train of thought. I'll tighten it up a little bit, but that's basic, unedited. If you like this stuff, you tell me in the comments. If you don't, second channel, whatever is what we do. And go back to the main channel, and I'll see you later. Bye.